You know, you could always play Old Blue Eyes for me.
Yes. It's working for both of us.
Exactly. For the lyrics of one of Sinatra's best ever renditions. And I know you're playing it because the Cubs have won 3 in a row.
Yes.
And I know that Durham Bulls legend, big leaguer extraordinaire Elliot Johnson, who joins us on the Adam Gold Show, also grew up a fan of the Chicago Cubs. So why don't we start there? Cubs got off in the beginning of the season. They were scoring, I believe, 26 runs a game. They're outscoring the Bears. And that obviously waned because everything wanes. How are they positioned? Milwaukee's been the best team in the National League for really almost 3 months now. Best team in baseball in terms of record. They were at one point like 4 games under 500. How are the Cubs positioned as we are approaching the postseason?
Well, they're in a good spot, Adam. I mean, so to me, the Cubs are probably the best team to challenge the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are beat up.
Really?
So
Not the Phillies and not the Brewers.
The Phillies strike out a bunch.
Okay.
You know, um, Nola's not the same guy. Wheeler's hurt. They don't have enough. They don't, Adam. The Mets don't feel like a postseason team, even though they'll probably limp in. The Padres are good.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is they're always just playing Robin to Batman over there in the NL West. I know that hurts them, but let's be real. The Dodgers are always the behemoth, and the Padres are always trying to catch them. So I think the Cubs are probably the best positioned. I'll say this: Tucker being hurt and coming back. He was playing MVP baseball, got hurt. They need him back in a big way. PCA was playing really, really well, MVP type, and then he's really cooled down. He probably just needs to get back to doing it, keeping things simple. So, I mean, they've got star power there. I think the Cubs are positioned probably, if it's not the Dodgers, it'll probably be the Cubs that get to the series this year out of the NL.
Elliot Johnson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I had actually forgotten about Pete Crow Armstrong and what he was at the beginning of the season. It's such a long year. How do guys, especially when they hadn't done that before, how do you maintain it? How do you, as a player, not succumb to the, well, that was fun while it lasted?
So when you're in it, I mean, it's like magic, Adam. You don't even really have to think about baseball because it's automatic. When you struggle, there's nothing else you can think about. It's the only thing you can think about. And most of my career was filled with struggle, so you can imagine what I was thinking about all the time.
You just didn't face Max Scherzer enough.
Yeah, right. But you see guys like like Longoria was one of the best at just being consistent all the time. What I found was the guys do their same routine regardless of whether they're going good or bad. Carl Crawford had an unbelievable work ethic. Ben Zobrist never swung at a ball. Really, it usually boils down to that, Adam. You get guys that start expanding the strike zone, and that's where they start struggling. If they can continue to just control the strike zone, they'll continue to find success. That's usually the easiest thing to point to.
All right, you've taken a shot at the Mets. They are probably going to limp into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But here's where, when I look at them, I have not been super discouraged even throughout this time where they went from 21 games over 500 late June, best record in baseball, to, until this 2-game winning streak, 3 games over 500. There were only like 2 teams in the big leagues worse than them over the last 2 months, and they were the White Sox and the Rockies. The only 2 teams worse than them, like in the last 2 months. But they've got Soto, they've got Alonso, they've got Lindor, they've got other guys who can hit. The rookies give them the best chance to start. I think that there's something there. They get it looks like they're going to get the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs because the Dodgers are going to be the 3 seed, I think, and the Mets are going to be the 6. Any chance at all?
Well, sure, there's a chance. I mean, the Dodgers are beat up. So, I think one of the interesting things, I think back to the '08 Rays team, Adam.
Yeah.
I got to play some for that squad, and the biggest contributors that year were Evan Longoria, Rookie of the Year, David Price. Okay,
Right.
both rookies, both unbelievable baseball players, and one of the things that was good about the culture that we had was, Joe did a great job of basically explaining that doesn't matter who's here or where you're at, you could be the biggest contributor to our team in any given day. And so that needs to be the thing the Mets embody and embrace, because the rookies right now are carrying them through
Mhm.
this struggle. I think Nolan McLean is 4-0, and then he ran into the Phillies and lost 1-0.
Yeah.
So I mean, he really should be 5-0, or at least 4 with a no decision. That's pretty tough for you to have to be able to go out there and find a way to win when your team doesn't score any runs. So, Jonah Tong's got good stuff, but he's still a little bit wide-eyed. He's a
Yep.
little bit nervous out there. He's got a little bit further to go. So really, they're trying to piece together their pitching more than anything else, but they've got star power. If they can get it right at the right time, they'll be fine. So like you take a team like the Mariners that have won their last 10. I mean, that's a bottle of magic that you can potentially bottle up and be able to ride into the playoffs all the way to the World Series too, potentially.
And they are leading their division right now. Cal Raleigh now has 56 home runs this year. He had 2 last night. How do you sum up? I mean, this is not the first year he's been good. How do you sum up what we have seen from him?
I think he's just gotten to the point where he knows that he can be more aggressive, and he's taking his shots and getting paid. I mean, he's going up there trying to hit home runs at him. Don't make any bones about it.
Right.
He's doing exactly what you saw in the home run derby, just during a game scenario where he's like, "Look, I don't have to respect this guy. He's going to come to me and make a mistake, and I'm going to make him pay." And it's right side, left side doesn't matter. Obviously, the majority of his ABs are always going to be on the left side, but he's been healthy all year. And anytime you can put yourself in the same category as Mickey Mantle is unbelievable, Adam. I was a switch hitter too. And so being able to say, look, I did something that Mickey Mantle did or better, that's ridiculous. Chipper Jones, Eddie Murray. There's so few guys that are in that unbelievable category that did it from both sides of the plate, because it's a completely different swing from either side of the plate, and it's a different skill set. And he's been able to max out both sides of the dish. Really impressive.
Funny thing, I'm thinking about great switch hitters. I think Rose is probably the only switch hitter that had basically the same swing from both sides of the plate. And
Yeah, but Mickey Mantle's. Well, Mickey Mantle's quote on Pete was, "Look, all due respect to Pete, he's like, if I wanted to hit like Pete, I'd go to the dish in a dress."
Wow. Well, I mean, but that's what Pete was trying to do, right? He wasn't trying to drive the ball. He was just trying to hit the ball like hard, probably back through the middle.
Yeah, sure, and but he also made the most outs in history too, Adam. So we got to take the good with the bad.
Oh, I'm not.
I'm not trying to take shots at the hit king, but I like, for the sake of what we're trying to do here in today's game, Adam. Today's game, not Pete's era. Like, the only thing you can influence is the how the ball comes off the bat. And so the way to assure success is by hitting it over everybody's head. And that's what Cal's doing in today's game, which is infinitely more important or impressive than any other time in the game's history, because there's more velocity today than ever before.
All right. So, look, I'm not in any way against taking a shot at Pete Rose. As a kid who grew up at Shea Stadium watching the Mets, I'll never forget Rose versus Buddy Harrelson. People can look it up. I was at that game in 1973 in the playoffs. How do you look at the Wade Boggs of the world, Tony Gwynns, who could have hit more home runs, but were just about Rod Carews? How do you look at like players like I'm absolutely fascinated by that.
So I would say Luis Arias is probably the modern day Rod Carew. Just unbelievable hand-eye coordination, incredible ability to put the bat on the ball. But just so you know, in those circles, of course, like, they get paid a lot of money to get on base and to put the ball in play. But they will, in those social circles, as soon as you stop hitting, basically they're going to tell you. I'll give you some slang here, Adam, for you and your viewers. You are described as a guy that swings a USA Today and it may not even be a Sunday edition. Okay.
Wow.
So you've got to go up there and have the ability to drive the baseball. There's only so much slap and run
Right.
that you can do in today's game because shortstops, third basemen today have such good arms and they're usually standing already. Like you watch Reyes come to the dish now, and it's pretty impressive what he's able to do because the left fielder is squeezing that left field line. He's basically already standing there. They're basically begging him to try to pull the baseball, and he's still finding a way to be successful. It's pretty impressive, but the boys are going to smash on you pretty hard if you can't drive the ball with authority. It's different. Like Ichiro's a different animal because he could hit it out of the ballpark anytime he wanted. So that's a completely different guy than somebody that just goes up there and slaps it and runs to first. You know, like that guy in today's game just usually isn't going to make it on into the big leagues.
By the way, I'm always here for Mickey Mantle slamming Pete Rose. That'd be fine with me. Elliot Johnson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. We haven't talked at all really about the American League, a part of Cal Raleigh hitting bomb after bomb after bomb. Like, I mean, he could go. He probably will go over 60 with a week and a half left in the big leagues, left in the season. Who is the best team in the American League?
So I like the Tigers. I like the Tigers and I like the Mariners. Of course, I hate the Astros.
Yes.
Like always, I'm never going to change that. But the Yankees, the Blue Jays feel like posers, Adam.
Right.
They really do. Bichette's hurt now. Guerrero's playing great. They needed him. That's what they were missing last year. They paid him and he's playing well. So I think the Blue Jays have a really smart front office. I appreciate it. I just don't think that they believe that they're good enough to win. I don't think it's going to happen. The Yankees probably believe it. Judge is great as always. You can't say anything bad about the man. He's just, unbelievable baseball player. Like, and I was raised to hate the pinstripes, but you can't say anything bad about Aaron Judge. He's a professional. So I've been surprised by the Red Sox. I thought it would take a little bit longer for them. They need to get a little bit more healthy. The young kid that they brought up is just a lightning rod, and they paid him right away. So if they can continue to Roman Anthony, if they can get him back, that's going to be a huge shot in the arm because he's doing some pretty impressive things. His name's getting thrown up there with Ted Williams. Pretty impressive contacts, hard contact that he's being able to create in a short period of time. But I think, to me, if I had to pick right now, probably the Tigers 1 and the Mariners 2.
Tigers have been excellent, and for many, many years they were drafting early, and we're starting to see a little bit of the fruits of that. But Tariq Skubal is
if he's not healthy, they can't win.
Right.
So he's one of the best, if not the best pitcher in the world, and without him, they don't have a real ace out there. So they need him to be able to win the World Series. Without him, they're not going to win. They need him.
No question. Real quick, because you always bring up Evan Longoria, and I understand why.
Sure.
What the Red Sox did with Anthony is basically what the Rays did with Longo. What we've been in the big leagues 10 days when they
were
signed
negotiating when he was in the minor leagues. Adam. Like, they don't announce that stuff. I mean, like the Astros were negotiating with George Springer when he was in the minor leagues, and they use it as a bargaining chip to say, "Hey, sign this deal, or else we're going to keep you in the minor leagues." And if they got, if they're confident enough, they'll hold off. But if not, they'll take the deal and be like, "Look, I want to play in the big leagues." I think that White Sox did it with Eloy Jimenez. It happens more than you probably will hear about. It's just another form of leverage that they're doing. If the A's were smart, they'd lock up Nick Kurtz ASAP. He's one of the best players in the world. Was playing at Wake Forest 2 years ago.
Yep.
So Roman Anthony, very smart. I'll give Breslow some credit. He's doing a pretty good job up there.
All right, final thing. This is philosophical. Because of the way the economics of the sport works, and I think we're seeing it anyway, we're seeing more and more young players in the big leagues sooner than we used to see. Like the Rays used to keep their top prospects at AAA for, half a year. And most other organizations you were going from AA. If you were a big league, you're probably going to the big leagues. They were just using AAA as like an extension of the big league roster. But are we going to see even more organizations get at the big league level more out of younger players, whether they're ready or not?
Yeah, I don't I see the trend continuing, Adam. I mean, it's more than likely that there's going to be a work stoppage with this next CBA. So a lot of guys are getting the guaranteed money up front. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it is that, if you're a ball player and a team is going to float you $100 million, it's hard to say no to that. Look at Ronald Acuna.
Yeah.
The difficult thing for most folks to understand is Ronald Acuna probably worth 400 or 500 million. And he ended up signing that 100 million. It's like, look, 100 million is 100 million. I understand. I get it. It's just, it's market values. So
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that too much more, but I think you're likely to see the front offices know what they have. They have a pretty good sense that these guys are good. They have a pretty good sense of risk from an injury standpoint, and they're willing to give guys a lot more peace of mind so that they can just go play. Think Roman Anthony, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look what Vlad Guerrero's doing with his contract in hand. He's playing with a lot of peace of mind because you're not pressing. And then you can contrast that with Tucker in Chicago. So he went into the season going like, look, I'll go to free agency and make all this money. He gets injured, starts panicking, trying to play through it, and his performance suffers. And he's probably cost himself tens of millions of dollars, if not more. So, I mean, it's a roll of the dice, and it's up to the player to determine how they see things through. But I remember Carlos Beltran in the playoffs, I think in '05, and every time he swung the bat, the ball either hit the wall or went off the wall and made a lot of money coming out of that. And what have you done for me lately is the quickest way to really add helium to your free agent year. So if they want to take all that risk off the table and just, go play, then they sign it. And most guys will fall into that category. But there are the Juan Sotos of the world that are willing to bet on themselves and get 700 million. So it really just depends on what you're looking for.
And Soto, after a slow start, really had an amazing year. Final thing, I'm just going to disagree. I actually don't think there will be a work stoppage because I think it's going to come too soon after expansion. Or not after expansion, after the TV deal.
I hope you're right. No, don't get me wrong. I hope you're right, Adam.
I think the next one will, but I don't believe we're going to have a work stoppage.
It'd be nice to bring MLB to Raleigh. I'm in on that plan.
All right. We'll have that discussion again. Elliot Johnson, my friend, I appreciate your time as always. Playoffs are, 11 days away?
Pleasure as always, Adam. Thank you.
Man.